Danny didn't even score for a second. So this year, I'm just going to bet everything. I'm gonna have to scout my heart rate a little bit. I was like.
All right, first 11. Oh, I'm sorry, at 14. First 7 to be chosen will be over here on this side. That will be Ryan 1, Gage 2, Olivia 3, Roman 4, Callie 5, Wyatt 6, Lane 7, Wyatt Gregory. All right, you guys are over here. Everybody else is over here.
No,
Second we got Lane. We got Gage. You see how we did it? How does this work?
Are you ready to rumble?
Let's go.
All right, we got 7 there, 7 here. All right, you guys can remember how to play? Do I need to explain? All right, so I'll ask a question. If you think you know the answer, or you think that you can get away with not being called on, you stand up. Okay? Depending on how many people you have standing up, if you are chosen, you answer the question correctly. That's how many points you get. So you have 3 people standing, you get 3 points. You have 4 people standing, you get 4 points. So it's advantageous to have more people standing up. However, if I happen to choose you and you don't know the answer, then that's how many points you lose. So you have 4 people standing up, you lose 4 points. You have 3 people standing up, you lose 3 points. The other team in that scenario, if you miss it, the other team gets a chance to answer the question. This is the only time in which you can confer with other people inside of your group. They come up with one answer, they share that answer, and then if you get it right, you get 3 points there. Automatically get 3 points. Doesn't matter. You don't stand up in a steal type of scenario. You just throw out an answer. You get 3 points for it. There's no negative on that side. So if you get it wrong on a steal situation, you don't lose 3 points. Sound good? All right. You guys are up first. There are 2 locations on a neuron where you can find receptor sites to receive neurotransmitters. What are those 2 parts of the neuron?
Can you say that again?
I cannot.
Oh, shoot.
Not right now. No, you cannot. All right, go Gage. Dendrite the axon's good guess. Chance to steal over here. I can't repeat the question. We'll learn about learning, concept of learning a little bit later on, and that's opera conditioning. That'd be reinforcing bad behavior. So can't do that.
But I can't remember which one of those is right. I'm pretty sure. It would be so much better. It's where the receptors are.
So much better because they're connected to each other.
You got an answer?
Dendrites and soma.
That is correct. Soma. All right, team who? Team who? You guys are up. What's the spaces between the myelin sheath called on the axon? Cade?
Nodes of Ranvier.
Yep, that is correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Team chosen. What's the fluid-filled gap between 2 neurons called? We're going Roman. Synapses, correct?
Yeah, let's go, Roman. -1 now. Let's go.
Team who? Let's see. What is the electrical component that's a part of the magic at the synapse? There's an electrical component that makes a neuron fire. What is it? Pass. All right, chance to steal over here. Yes, the electrical component.
If we guess.
You don't lose
like,
points, no.
we don't lose points.
No.
Someone should
Yeah,
guess.
so go ahead.
The repulsion of electrodes fired off.
Something. All right. So maybe I should have phrased it this way. There are two important components whenever it comes to transmitting information from one neuron to the next. There's the chemical component. That's with your neurotransmitters, right? The electrical component is the ions. You remember we talked about ions and how there's positive and negative ions, and then the neuron or the nucleus tells the neuron whether to open up its cell membrane to acquire more positive ions to match up with the negative ions inside the soma. All right, you guys are up, right? All right. What type of neuron would be associated with moving my arms or moving my legs? Ms. Coons? Efferent is correct.
Let's go. Be in the positive.
Maybe efferent. What neurotransmitter is associated with memory? If you have drugs that would block this particular neurotransmitter, you're going to flunk memory tests.
I don't know. His butt's off the
Well,
chair.
it's all right. I know that you play some classes, some rules where if it gets up, then you have to stay up. Miss Cassidy? Acetylcholine. All right. Team chosen. What's the process where a neurotransmitter is out in the synapse and then it is reabsorbed by the axon terminal bud hole?
No idea.
Ryan? Reuptake.
I didn't know it.
Breaking down walls.
Hey. Yeah, we could have had 10 and you said 11.
All right.
We got the question right.
Team who? What's the neurotransmitter associated with a runner's high? Ashton? Endorphins.
I was waiting for Kate to and then stand up and do it.
What is the neurotransmitter that is the most popular inhibitory neurotransmitter found in the brain? What would that be? Lane. That is correct.
I see it look at me because
What's the most common excitatory neurotransmitter found in the brain?
Oh.
Cade? Dopamine's good guess. Stand still. Glutamate.
Yeah. That's how we do it. Team chosen. Patriots.
All right. We talked about the nervous systems and how we broke it down into different charts. One side you have the autonomic nervous system. What's the other side of the autonomic? The autonomic over here. What's the other one?
That's our question.
Mm-hmm.
wait, I don't want to be the only
Amygdala's getting the best of her. Go ahead. Yeah, somatic is correct. What part of what nervous system is like, what calms us down, brings us back down?
That'd be the parasympathetic.
It is the parasympathetic.
Yeah, come on.
This game as well.
What part of the brain is 11% larger in left-handed people? Miss Olivia?
The corpus callosum.
That is correct.
I saw that.
What is the corpus callosum?
It's the thing that connects the left hemisphere to the
The right hemisphere. Very good. The concept of pruning is associated with which change that takes place over the course of one's lifespan? Change in the brain. Concept of pruning. Mr. Moser.
Lateralization.
It's a good guess.
Yeah.
Team chosen.
This is an aftergenic.
Synaptogenesis.
Good job, Olivia.
Wait,
Wait, we are the chosen one.
Mhm.
What's
What's the name? What's the name of the disorder that was depicted in the PBS Nova video that the psychologist was doing some extra research with? He's the guy that did the study on time and perception, but then he transferred his emphasis to this particular disorder. What was the name of that disorder?
One question. Can you say like what the name of the people are that have it are?
Yes. All right, Roman.
Is it synesthetics?
Yep, synesthesia. Yep.
Go, baby.
Or synesthesia. What part of the hindbrain is our focus center of the brain? Help us to maintain our attention. Mr. Gates?
Reticular formation.
That is correct.
Gates, you're on the
What percentage of the brain is made up by your cerebellum? What percentage of your brain? All right, chance to steal over here?
10%.
10% is correct.
Go. Nice job, Riggs.
All right, you guys are up again. If I'm thinking about visualization when it comes to sports, what hemisphere am I utilizing if I'm looking at visualization? Trying to practice that strategy. Briggs?
Right.
Right is correct.
Go.
Nice. You can get it wrong.
What was the phenomenon that I read to you about the old man? He said he could see just a little bit in front of his eyes, but then he couldn't see anything else, so he's practically blind. Right? But then he was able to react to items that he didn't think he could see. He could respond to them that way. What was the concept there?
What did I get wrong?
Hey, no talking.
Miss Livia?
Was it unilateral or gut?
That's a good guess.
Sorry, guys.
The answer would be blind sight.
Blind side is correct.
Let's go.
Sorry, guys.
Come on, Lane. Why didn't you just... Let's not choke this.
In order for unilateral neglect to take place, the stroke has to be at what location of the brain? In order for unilateral neglect to take place, where does the stroke have to be?
Yeah, we can't see.
Chance to steal?
What? Right hemisphere.
Can you be a little bit more specific?
Something in the right hand.
It does have to be in the right hemisphere, but a particular location. in the right hemisphere?
I gotta get something.
It's in both hemispheres.
Just guess it. Unless we have something better.
That was our guess.
That is correct. It is the occipital lobe is both in the right and left. It's connected by the the corpus callosum. And so, yes, it's the rear portion of your right hemisphere, which would be your occipital lobe.
Here's like, it's alright. You call a timeout.
You call a timeout. You guys are up? Because the frontal lobe is not fully matured until the early 20s, adolescents have a tendency to revert to using this part of the brain to make decisions. No idea? Chance to steal over here? I'll need an answer, please.
Hindbrain.
Hindbrain, good try. No, it is the amygdala. Yep. The amygdala, it's the emotional, irrational part of the brain. That's why you have a tendency to see irrational decisions from young high school students. Right?
Yeah, they were at a good point to stop.
Yep. Who's up? You guys are up. Standing already.
Make it really hard.
Mhm.
The answer was in here, man.
Because he's picking the
I
right
can sit down still. It doesn't matter. I'm not committed.
Mhm.
Confirm. You can't sit down.
He's a leader.
All right. So this concept we talk about changes in the brain over the course of the lifespan. This concept says that it takes place over the course of the entirety of your life. You can shape the brain kind of like Play-Doh is the analogy that we use. It's Cassidy. That's correct.
Alright, we all.
Who think I was gonna get that shit?
So at least 5 people. I'll be
All right. This is the part of the brain, egg-shaped, and it's associated with language, and all of your sensory receptors except for smell pass through this part of your brain. Chance to steal?
No.
Parietal lobe is a good guess. It is. It is thalamus.
talking about this.
All right. What was the name of the psychological disorder that we mentioned the other day that is passed down through the dominant gene? The dominant gene, rather than the recessive. Miss Livia.
Was that
Huntington's
Huntington?
is Team chosen. Our last chances here.
But we bounce back from that.
The pancreas is associated with the production of what? What does the pancreas produce?
I didn't lose
We'll get the lead.
Ryan? Metabolism?
Let's go!
I heard pancreas.
Insulin. Insulin is correct.
Just one double jeopardy.
right, Team Joseph. I thought it was.
Give us one more
It was in the
time.
mix for you guys. You upset
Hey, there's still time.
the name generator. That's the case. All right, very good. Does anybody have a question before we go?
Good job, team.
Nope. All right. We'll have a test on Monday. You guys have a good one. Enjoy your weekend.
What is it?